Perhaps you, like me, were also utterly disappointed by the Winx reboot. I grew up on Winx Club, started watching it at 2 years old and have been a loving member of the online community since I was a teen. Like many fellow Winxers, I've been eagerly awaiting the reboot ever since it was announced in 2022. Skeptically, but eagerly. I wanted to like the reboot. I desperately wanted the writing to hold up well enough, even if just to say, yeah, this is Winx Club for the next generation. But it wasn't. I won't go into detail on the reboot for those that haven't watched it yet, but the original Winx Club tackled mature topics like the death of a parent, struggling to fit in, feeling disconnected from emotions, stage fright, anxiety, the complicated relationships we can have with divorced or strict parents, a negative self-image, feeling like you need to handle things alone and not knowing how to rely on others, arranged marriages, genocide, grooming, and so many more. It was a series built on life lessons interwoven with the classes taught at Althea, like the importance of honesty and integrity, that the sword that looks the shiniest isn't always the best, that each individual has unique talents that may not be suited for every situation, but that are invaluable nonetheless. And at the same time, that your worth isn't tied to your powers or talents alone. I could go on and provide a dozen more examples, but I think you get the picture. Point is, Winx Club was never a series where the day was saved by the power of friendship, even if they just met each other like 2 weeks before, or you could earn a magic power-up by believing in yourself. And the writing is so lackluster, I'm convinced the Wattpad fanfic I wrote at 14 has better writing. So why am I talking about this? Why am I bringing it up at all? Well, because the reboot has made another thing really clear to me. That there is an incredibly high demand for stories like the original Winx Club series. And at the risk of this sounding like a shameless self-plug, I happen to be writing one. If you came to the Winx Club reboot looking for a story about a young fairy finding a place in a world of magic, attending a boarding school for fairies in a place divided by concepts of light magic, dark magic, heroism and those still finding their path. If you look for magic power scaling, different fairy forms tied to personal growth and sources unique to the individual, used in creative ways. If you're looking for a story built on all the themes I just mentioned, and many more, exploring them in depth through the 9 main characters who are all important to the story as a whole. A story that unfolds in an epic saga spanning 7 novels. If you want a story that takes place in an interplanetary system, with different folks and customs, worlds that feel rich and are inhabited not only by our main characters, but also by other powers at play and creatures of mythos. If you long for a story where the supporting cast has a life of their own, and backstories that inform and reflect who they are today. If you want main characters with distinct personalities, their own hobbies, interests, motivations and backstories, each of the characters having their own style that shines through in the clothing they wear, and their fairy forms. And I'll do you one better. A story where all the fairy cast members actually get to transform and have a fairy form of their own, giving you a glimpse into what the highest fairy form can look like. If this sounds like the type of story you were looking for, I've got 108 fully illustrated pages on my website of a story you might actually enjoy. Or perhaps you won't, and that's fine too. I can't guarantee that if you like the original Winx Club, you'll like this one too. For all the similarities, they are still 2 completely distinct stories, and it might not feel what you're craving in your stories. And that's okay. But I know thousands of Winx fans have been anticipating the reboot, hoping to find a story that captures that magic. And many of them are disappointed like I am, because it feels like a completely different series with the name Winx slapped onto it. And that's just the thing. I've been writing my story for close to 10 years now, and began the long process of illustrating it in 2019, knowing I'd have to conceptualize everything by myself. And I dare say I know this story can be what a lot of disappointed Winxers are looking for. But it is very hard to get yourself out there if you don't already have a big name. But the fact that, even though Winx Club has consistently failed to release anything that truly speaks to the fanbase since Secret of the Lost Kingdom, or Season 4, depending on who you ask, people are still coming back to this show in the hopes of finding something worthwhile again. It truly makes me hopeful that maybe those fans will give my passion project a chance. So yeah, if you're still watching, and you are indeed looking for this type of story, perhaps you can give my project a shot. You can read it on the website or listen to the audiobook version right here on YouTube. And if you like it, please share it around, because I know there are people out there looking for stories like this. Keep living the magic. CJ Frostthorn.